Let's start creating the first text. So to begin, we're going to right click, new and text. You will note what you want. I'll call mine Naughty. Once that's done, make sure to have a good font. I use Lonely Cake. You can find plenty on the font site if you wish. Change the color to a pink and the size of the text to 110, for example, with a spacing between the letters of 100. Once that is done, we'll just place the anchor point in the center of our text. For that, we'll do a Control-Alt-Home, so Home, and then a Control-Home. So this will allow us to center the text right in the middle of our composition and to center our anchor point. Once that's done, we'll add our first effect, which is simply the turbulent displace effect. For this, we will change the amount to -9, and then you can play with the evolution here to choose a movement that you like. For example, in my case, I am going to set it to -84. So something like this. After that, you are free to choose the effect, the number you want. So let's go with this, like that. Once that's done, we will add layer styles. The first one we will do is a stroke. Okay, let's unfold. Choose a color in white, and importantly, we're going to set the size to 2. Once that's done, we can add a new effect, which is the bevel and emboss, which adds a kind of drop shadow to our text. We will just modify the color and make it a slightly darker pink to achieve something like this. Once that's done, we add the final effect, which is the inner glow. And the inner glow, we will just change the color to complete white. Perfect. Now, we have finished our text. We can move on to the next step, which is not very complicated. We will first pre-compose our text, and then we will come here to choose the rounded rectangle tool. Make sure to select the fill correctly. So click on it and choose this well and set the color to pink, and be sure to deactivate the stroke. Once that's done, you will surround your text like this, and then you will be able to pre-compose it. You can place it below your text, and on it we will just add a simple, so 2 simple effects. The first one will be a turbulent displace. For this, we are going to modify the amount to 14, and then we can modify the evolution just like before. So it's really up to us to choose, and for you to choose a bit how you want it to be. As for me, let's say this number suits me. Next, we can add the roughen edges. So for this, we will adjust the border to 62 to start, the edge sharpness to 10, and the scale to 300, with a little complexity at 3. So I'm going to set it to full to see clearly what it looks like. And now I can, for example, modify, if I want, the scale according to my preferences. So here, as I can see, hop, I'll do something more in this style. Like this, we are good. I'll switch back to half to avoid consuming too much, and I'll right click and layer style, apply bevel and emboss to have something like this. And on top, we can modify the color to a pink, something like this, not too strong there. And then I will be able to set my highlight opacity to 100% and adjust the angle so that the white is really well positioned on top. Perfect. Once that's done, we'll be able to add another element. So we're going to select the pen tool. We're going to disable the fill like this and set the stroke. I will set a stroke of 5 in white. That's great. And I will you select nothing here at the bottom, and you're going to come hop, create, then the shape you want. Once that is done, we can go into the shape, content, shape, stroke, and change the butt cap to round cap. This way, the edges are rounded. Here, they are no longer square. Once that is done, we've already completed a nice portion because we are almost finished with our text. So we can add a little effect anyway. We can first pre-compose it and add an effect layer style in bevel and emboss. We'll modify the size. So for size, I set it to 0.15, and then the shadow, we'll set it to 20 so that it is very light. Next, I'll position it just below our text there. Perfect. Once that's done, we will be able to take all the elements, right click and pre-compose it. Now, we will tackle the animation part. So before doing the animation part, we will just add one last effect here, which is the CC light sweep, like this. And here we will just modify, in fact, the direction to actually create an effect. As you can see here, a gradient effect there. That's it. So you can see that there is a gradient effect happening. So when I remove it, you see, it's to have this. Perfect. Once that's done, for the animation, you will see. It's a technique that relatively few people use. And actually, well, it is quite practical. We are going to duplicate our text. We can delete the CC light sweep. We are going to add a fractal noise effect. Once that's done, you will adjust the contrast, set it to 500. It's super important. Know it. Then let's go. Hop to the beginning. Click on brightness and set it to 172. So it must be completely white. It's very important that it's all white. Next, we move to 1 second. So that it's your text duration of the animation, sorry. For me, it's going to be 1 second 15. And then I will come and place it and set it to minus 312. Normally, it will be completely black like this. Then, for the complexity, I will change it and set it to 19. Now that it's done, we can add a little effect. So, you are going to hold down Alt, click on Evolution, right time, times. So the little star 200, that will allow us, in fact, now to the fact that it can move. So it moves actually naturally. Okay, now we have this. So that's cool. What are we going to do? We're going to go into toggle switch, select here in the track matte and set Luma inverted matte. This will make it so that our text here, our layer, takes the animation from above. So now we have an appearance happening like this. Of course, you're free to choose any animation you want, any parameters you want. Here, it's a suggestion. However, you can see there's something that bothers me. It's here. When we set it to full, we can clearly see what's on the edges. And to simply remove that, you just need to increase the scale. And there we go. Now there won't be any issue at that level. Perfect. Now that it's done, we are going to make the final little adjustments. So we're going to isolate the two texts here, pre-compose, and then we will add the final effects we want on our text. First effect, we will add a hue saturation and slightly increase the saturation so that it's a little more pink, more candy-like. Then we add a deep glow effect on top. For the settings, I will set 500 here to 018 like this. I will add a curve effect that I will decrease. So relatively quite a bit like that. Here we go for the second text. So for that we create, hop, the first text. Do you know? I will change the font to Arial Bold. Here the color, top, the size, so the size 241, and here the spacing at 50. Once that is done, we will be able to add a little animation, which is the fade up world, or rather the slow fade on like this. Perfect. We'll zoom in. I want it to last more or less 1 second. So I'll be able to click on N to stop the timeline at 1 second, and then I'll be able to place it at the end like this. Once that's done, what we'll do is very simple. We'll go and take here, so the rectangle tool. Make sure you select your layer here, and we will then surround each word. Well, each word, yes, like that. So it will duplicate it 2 times, because I have 3 words. I select my second one, I use the pen tool, and I move and place it on the second word, like this. That means, if I remove the first one, there's only that one left, and then I'll do the same for the third word, like this. Perfect. Now, we are going to animate the elements. So, the first one is the do. For the do, we are going to reduce it. So we will click on Ctrl-Alt-Home to then modify the size. So put S at the beginning at 100, and at the end, I will put it, for example, at 82. In reality, it works perfectly. So we can leave it like that. There you go. Then for the last one, now we are going to create a color animation. So we are going to click in text animate, then next in fill color RGB. We start with, it will first be blue. So at the end, it will be white. So I'm going to add a keyframe, place it at the end, and put a blue like this. So we will place it really at the end because I want it to be blue. And then at the very, very end, it starts to turn white. Something like that. There. Perfect. Once that's done, we'll be able to add the second text. So for that, we'll take all the elements here and pre-compose. So we can put text 1 here. Once that's done, we can create a new text, and while you're here, we're going to do exactly the same process. But first, in my opinion, we will reduce the size a little bit. So down to 41. We will only modify the small position, place it just below like that. Perfect. And we will do exactly the same process. So we will come to click here, hop duplicate. Duplicate and perfect. Once that's done, we will be able to animate the first two. So we will animate the Y and here. So we will select both, click on T, set a small opacity to 100, move them and set both to 0. Perfect. Once that's done, we'll select the three, move them a bit, do now, and then to come back. Perfect. We'll say that's good. Once that's done, we'll also need to animate the UR here. So to do that, we'll first create a little something. So the first thing here is to pre-compose hope, put it inside. We'll click here on the pen, stroke, and we'll come create a kind of small box like this. You select the two small points here, and you will click on Alt to shape them into a square like this. And in my opinion, it's a bit large, so I will adjust it to 3 to have something like this. Once that is done, we can go back, and I will be able to click on T for opacity, placing it at the same time as the others, like this and like this. Except that, sorry, I made a mistake, because this one, we won't use that method, we'll use another method. But however, we will do the same for the here, pre-compose, click, go inside and add an effect of frame, like this. Of course, you can then modify it and adjust it a bit better. I'm going relatively quickly, but it's so you can understand how it works. There you go. Once that's done, we're in a good place. We're starting to have something neat. Well, it's not perfect here, but it's not very important. Now, we're going to animate rather the T, so of the pre-composition. This is where I made a mistake before. Hop, place it at the beginning like this. Puff, it does it at the same time. Once that's done, here for the yo, we're going to create a sort of small box like this above. First, make sure to select this one. Create a small box above your text. And then, like this, we will have to play with deposition. Tack, we place it like this, and then adjust the position of our text. So we'll do it inside. We're going to come in here. You can, if you wish to pre-compose again, then click on P, add a keyframe here, place it at the end, because here it's the final position we want, and move it upwards like this. So now we are just going to look at placing it relatively at the correct position, at about the same level. And here, in the mask, we will set the mask to subtract. That way, as it goes down, it will make sense. Once that's done, we can add a bit of feather to the mask, so it appears in a somewhat progressive. So something like that. there. However, here, I find that it doesn't appear quickly enough. I'm just going to do this like that. There we go, we have an animation. It's not perfect. We could take a bit more time to do it, but it will work like this. Once that's done, we have almost finished everything. In the end, we're just missing the Y. The Y is the same principle. Once again, as what we did for the do above. Alt, Home, S for the scale at the start. And then at the end, make it smaller. However, I will make it slightly smaller than originally to have something. Okay, once that's done, we can also modify in animate here the fill color RGB. Set it to white at the start, and then at the end, set it to turquoise blue. Ideally, use the same blue. You can just copy paste like that. We have something nice. We can just tweak it a bit so it appears a little later. It wasn't the scale, but the fill color. So just above here, there, perfect. Once that's done, we'll have this final step, and it's not the least because it's the one that will make everything look nice. It's a little wiggle effect on each text. We'll start with the text here. To put it simply, what are we going to do? We're going to select the text. We'll go into Windows, Animation Composer 3. You need this. It's a free plugin. The download link will be in the description. In the text, go to the bottom and find Mr. House, click on Apply, and modify the intensity to 40. This way, it has this effect where it moves in a somewhat random manner like this. I'm just going to test something with you, if we can just copy paste it relatively easily by doing that. I don't think it works. That seemed to be the case. We'll have to do that each time. So Windows, Animation Composer, etc. We're going to do that for each element, and you can set the intensity to 40. Let's go. I'm going to speed up this part because it's not interesting, since it will always be the same thing. We're off to the last text. So to start, it's very simple. You will write your we're gonna get here. For the font, it's very simple. You select Bestom bold, you select bold and italic, 41 for the size, etc. So it's just that. Here, for the tutorial, it's slightly different. You select treasure. So for the font, bold, italic, you check both. And then for the small ships here, I just use the pen tool, as you can see there, and I just did this. I duplicated it 4 times. So it's not very complex. Now, we're going to start by modifying the we're gonna get. So quite simply, what am I going to do? I'll come and double click on it, select the word gonna, I will slightly increase it to 45. However, the other two, so the where, I will decrease to 32 and get exactly the same. I will then add an effect called turbulent displace. Like this, I will set an amount to -6. And here at 49. Once that's done, I will go into tutorial, pre-compose, go inside. I will add the texture. The texture is available for free in the description, so you can easily find it. I click on none. There we go. And now it is directly inside. I can, if I wish, modify a bit well where I want it to be, so to have the type that I wish. So once that's done, we can continue by adding effects onto it. So we go back and add some effects. The first effect we will add is the S-Emboss Shiny, like this. I set the bump scale to 0.5. As for the color, I'll choose a slightly red color like this, but subtly, without it being too strong. There you go. Then I'll add a BCC Raise Puffy effects. So here we just need to wait for it to load a little bit. Perfect. I come here to wavelength. I'll set this to 43 and I'll start setting it to 144. Next, I will put array in intensity. I will set a small keyframe. I will go to 1 second, or in any case, the duration you want your text to stay. And at the very end, I will adjust it to 241. There. Once that's done, I'll just come and select this here and place it right in the center of my text. There. Perfect. Like that. Then I add three new effects. So here I will be able to select everything, pre-compose, and add 3 effects. A Gene Blow logo. What I am repeating here, and I will set to 2. A day below. Here I will set this to 0.2 and 250. I add a small curve just like this, so not too strong. That's a bit as I want or as you want. And I will add a turbulent displace effect. I'll set it to -5 and here to 18. Of course, you are free to modify the evolution to have something you like even more. Next, I will be able to add a BCC drop shadow with the distance at 0 and here at 100. You can even add more if you wish. Now here, for example, you can see that it is relatively quite dark, so that everything will depend on how you position your texture. So that you just have to move it. You can even enlarge it, etc. to have something that you like more. So for example, like this. As a result, I will already have another effect like here.